There you go. All right. It's happening. All right. Now everyone can hear. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Paladins World Championship. I'm Golden Boy. Now joined by Bees and, of course, my partner in crime, Gormizer here. How you feeling, buddy?
Yeah, feeling good. Excited.
Yeah, you excited to get on the desk, talk about some Paladins? Yeah, first
100%.
HRX? Okay. So don't worry. I'll take care of you.
Good.
I got you covered, baby girl. All right. Well, let's talk about this this matchup here because we have a great one coming up. It's going to be Fnatic versus SpaceStation Gaming. And if you look here at the schedule, take a looky here. We have Fnatic SpaceStation. The winner of this will go up against G2 Esports. And then afterwards, we'll have Na'Vi versus Entity, who will then face off against China Dream. So this bracket, and as a matter of fact, I believe it was Lazy who had mentioned before that he was really concerned about this side of the bracket because, you know, the competition's pretty stacked over here.
It is incredibly strong. I mean, even just looking at what these teams have to go against, these two are going to decide who goes forward, but then they have to go up against G2 Esports, which, again, they were number 2 at the last LAN. They were the only NA representative until Renegades was brought in. Then they have to go against China Dream, which is actually a dream team right now. It is a culmination of JC Gaming and QG Craze. So putting those together, it's going to be a rough set for anyone who has to go up against them. Yeah,
and your take as well. How do you feel about this this B side of the bracket, this other side of the bracket where China Dream and G2 are sitting? Think this is a stronger side?
It's difficult to say, to be honest with you, but my boys NIP, I'm going for them, so I think they're the stronger side.
They look dominant. They look so dominant in that game. It was like insane. Perdo just was shredding people. Yeah. I was blown away by it. But anyway, well, let's just go ahead and shift focus into this next matchup and talk about the first team, which will be Fnatic. Fnatic, a very well-known organization in esports, this European team, though, coming out here looking to make some noise. How do you feel about this Fnatic roster?
Fnatic roster is very strong. They've got 3 of the oldest veterans in the scene. They've also got 2 fresh bloods in the scene who've just absolutely exploded as they come up with Fisheko and Saibe. Fantastic players. And I think as a roster, when they show up, they really, really do show up.
It's just a strong showing. Like, I mean, this team has always been good. Europe, at this point, has been probably the most contested region as it is. And when it comes down to it, like you said, they've got some veterans. Thiel is going to be the big one to look at for me just because he was benched from his last team. He was, last year, able to kind of rise up to the top, but then taken out. Now he, once again, is on a team that's slowly but surely rising to the top. They're sitting up there. And with him, he's been incredibly strong. I expect a lot from him as a player.
Yeah, and I have to say, though, like, you know, my familiarity with the Fnatic roster, you know, obviously I'm learning as I go, but having known this organization for such a long time, I mean, they tend to just go and pick up the cream of the crop wherever they can possibly find it here. And despite them being in the prelims, do you feel like this is a team that could make a deep run in this tournament?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, they came out of the PPL Europe as the #1 seed. They were unfortunately upset by VP at the LAN, but, I mean, they made it here, and I feel like they've only got stronger since then, so I think they're definitely going to show up really strong.
Yeah, this is a roster to look out for. But on the other side of the stage, you have SpaceStation Gaming, the Brazilian roster, coming in hot here, looking to really put everyone on notice. Gora, over to you for this one, your familiarity with this team.
I mean, I know for a fact Rain Day has been talking up since we started going through the rosters, Ares as a player. He says he's going to be very strong, very good. I'm expecting him to be kind of the standout, but there's also Mittow, who's another player that was referred to as the bird of Brazil. He is the bird player for the team, very analytical, very smart, and he is apparently the healer to have. When you go through, he is like the #1 guy to have as your support player, and I think he's going to be the one that helps lead this team to maybe a potential victory. It's still going to be rough for him, but they have a lot hyping them up.
Would you say this is Brazil's finest, without a doubt, coming in here?
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm, you know, I mean, it goes without saying, but like, you know, oftentimes, right? I've done a lot of events where you kind of have that other, you know, the team kind of get that lucky break at the finals and be able to come out here despite, you know, a bad performance from like the top teams or whatever. You hear that sometimes, but out here though, it seems like all the teams from all the regions, cream of the crop, some of the best they could possibly send here. How do you feel about SpaceStation Gaming in this matchup against Fnatic?
I mean, I'm really excited to see them play. They've got quite a few legends on the team. You said Ares, a very strong pickup for the team. They've also got Mittow, who's got the highest ranked elo in the game at 6k TP. I mean, Legend has it he plays 100 games a day before even going into scrims.
Legend has it.
That's all I hear.
100 a day.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there is, and actually holding up that Z-Mash jersey there. I believe they had a substitute as well. Was that
Z-Mash?
Z-Mash? He
was unfortunately able to not make it this time.
That's the unfortunate reality of it, right? Like when you travel for these international events. I mean, for us here in the United States, it's easy. You know, for me, it was a 2-hour flight from New York to Atlanta, but you got a lot of these folks coming from Brazil, Europe. You know, it's a difficult thing, and you know, you got to get that certification approved, which is always a struggle. But you know what? They're going to look to do the best that they possibly can in this situation. So now I'm going to ask you guys for the predictions here. What do you think? Who do you think is going to take this one?
For me personally, I think Fnatic will take it in the long run. I'm hoping to see a 2-1 game set. I've been given the inside info from Josh Kent. Apparently, if these guys get a fish market map, they will take it. SpaceStation Gaming will take a fish market map. That's what I've been told.
I wonder if that knowledge has been given to the other side here. So who knows? Who knows? Dun, dun, dun. All right, what about for you, Gore?
I'm going to have to lean towards Fnatic as well. I think SpaceStation might have had a chance, but again, having just even a small roster change at this point in the game can wreck everything for you. Just anything that kind of separates your team to makes things not as smooth as it could be can change it up. But if Ares can play the way I've been told he can play, and he can step it up here at LAN specifically, then I expect a lot from the team, but I still think Fnatic will pull it out.
Yeah, I really want to see a 2-1. You know, I want to see that game 3, but let's go ahead and talk about the bans here. So we got Stone Keep banned by SSG, and Fnatic bans Brightmarsh. So what was it, Fish Market?
Fish Market is the map we want to see.
Still up for grabs. It will be, I believe, Fnatic's pick first, though, if I had to guess. So this is, imagine if they just go to Fish Market. They're just like,
take it themselves,
just like, screw it, we're just going to go to Fish Market. But I did find out, though, our first map is actually going to be Frog Isle. So you know, that's a safe pick, right? A very well-known map. Everyone knows how to play it. I actually think that this could work out a little bit for SpaceStation, perhaps, you know, with comfortability at the very least.
I think this one is a map that it depends on who gets that, like that first initial push. Once you grab onto that point, you can usually hold onto it pretty well. So your initial team fight is going to be the most important thing for both of these teams, and your draft might reflect that. This is one where Buck always comes to my mind, just because if he can get the ball rolling early on, then he's going to have that control. He has nothing to worry about after that.
All right, well, folks, it's time. Fnatic versus SpaceStation Gaming. We have the finest from Brazil going up against one of the best European teams. And it's time to jump in to the picks and bans, the champion draft. And it will be Fnatic's pick first for the bans. Let's see what they go for. What would you shoot
I'm
for
anticipating Buck and Bomb King. Again,
Bomb
I
King?
think that was like, we saw it first, and I feel like that's just going to be the one that kind of rides through. That's going to be like the safest bans for the entire LAN, is just being able to keep those two, because they have some of the biggest impact that you could have, and this is one of those maps that either of them can really change the fight.
Oh, well,
it's another good
one half of that will be wrong, but it will be Torvo and Mittow. Oh, man, so Buck and Bomb King up for grabs here. Bees, what do you think?
Insta Buck pick. We take it.
We take it. We take it. We eat those. That's easy. And then Insta Bomb King. There we go. Makes
They
sense.
made it through. They just weren't the bans.
Yeah.
Respect that. I respect that. You know, so you were partially right.
Yeah, and Torvald's a good ban here, just because there's essentially, he pushes you off the map. There's so much map here to be pushed off of that getting rid of him, having that old, like, just not having to worry about it, at least gives you a little bit peace of mind. Mittow has similar mechanics with that, but also he's just good at control.
Yeah, I feel like the Mittow could definitely even just be a respect line for Thiel, because he's such a fantastically strong Mittow player.
Thoughts on that Ashe pick?
Fresh. I think it's different. Like, I mean, it's one of those things, Ashe, I don't think she was ever bad. It was just one of those things that once she got the CC immunity kind of taken away from her, you could stun her down, you could lock her up, and even though she had that 90% damage reduction, as long as you just held her in place, you could still kill her. I think she still has a place here, and there's another good knockoff. If you can get them in the right angle, in the right spot, you're going to be tossing people off the map, again, looking for that control.
Yeah, especially with the Ashe into the bomb queue now, without the CC immunity that she sees from her dash, it's actually very easy for the Ashe to knock the BK off before the Ashe gets close enough to knock the bomb king off. So that could be something to watch out as they both try and hold the water side of the map.
Getting close here to the conclusion of the draft, and got a Grok there, and I'm assuming that will probably be a damage Grok more than likely.
Yeah.
Much more focused on damage lately. His healing is just kind of a nice supplement to what he can bring, but we went through several games and still expect to see it where he is going to be sitting at the top of the damage charts.
And Grover, locked in, final pick. So how do you guys feel about this draft so far?
Drafts look really good, to be honest, for both sides of the team. The Kanissa, very strong on this map, but also with the Grover as a kind of a sustain against it. I don't know, it's going to be a good match, I think.
This is tough. Gore, what about you?
I mean, on paper, I give this to SpaceStation, but it comes down to the players. Fnatic are phenomenal. So when it comes down to it, if they can take these picks that, again, aren't necessarily the top of the list and turn them into what they need it to be, Grover usually is going to be able to have that priority over Kanessa, but if Kanessa's getting rid of Grover, doesn't have that impact anymore.
Well, the draft is basically as close as you could possibly get at this point. Now it's going to come down to execution. Let's go ahead and send it over to your casters and get ready for this next matchup between SpaceStation Gaming and Fnatic.
We have a star-studded match ahead of us. Of course, my name is Vox, joined by I Hold Shift. A duo which was, as we found out, established about a year and a half ago at this point.
Long time.
We're excited to see this game get underway. We've got a really interesting draft here for a frzgod game. There's so many little bits of sort of pick and counter pick. The Kanessa into the Grove was talked about a little bit. We've got some niche picks coming through here, maybe some interesting legendary choices. It's all on the table.
So here's the thing. We talked about this a couple nights ago about how Fnatic throughout the fall land was really stubborn about playing one front line.
Very much so.
Even if it wasn't working, with a handful of times. Now it's going to be, okay, they're going to play one front line, but one front line as Ashe? Consider me baffled, surprised, and also a little bit curious.
Well, Fnatic have taken the book of what they usually do here and thrown it out of the window. And it is a Fortress Breaker Ashe, which we did talk about behind the scenes there. Eagle Eye Kanessa, everything relatively standard for a frzgod draft, legendary-wise from SpaceStation. Following along with frzgod Bomb King, sets up a nice grumpy bomb zone. But look at Buck's positioning on the right-hand side of the map. Fnatic are trying to go for a big flank here, but can they find a way in?
It's really just Buck is just keeping this entire statue side to himself and to his team. Now, with a little bit of extra pressure coming through, Grok's going to touch and kind of, this is the wiggle and wag that we normally see here in Frog Isle. It's very much a big kind of teeter-totter. One kill goes your way and you can completely open up the map in your favor, but so far it's just the 9% for Fnatic, now up to above 15.
The problem is Buck has been harassing, which we haven't seen so far. Grover on the backside of the map alongside the Ruckers as well, keeping and allowing this Kanessa to more free fire towards the objective. Cutting off the Fernando Void Grip, pulls him up. bugzy shuts them down for first blood. RECHAO falls. That is Fnatic taking control.
Oh, really good control there from Fisheko as well to make sure he stays alive, and coming back for the kill onto Mittow. That's Ruckus also down, so now again the floodgates have opened up. Fnatic have the numbers. Buck is jumping into the back line to find Ares, and it's looking good for the team in blue.
Oh, that was a lot of recovery healing coming through there, but overextension does allow a little bit of room towards SpaceStation Gaming. 81% and rising for Fnatic. SSG have to find a way back in. It will be the Ruckus diving on in. There's the Dread Serpent as well. Shut down onto Gerrah, but bugzy responds to the kill onto Mittow.
Yeah, the Headhunter coming out doing a lot of damage. Freeze got a little bit of a 1v1. We'll take down Sybate, and now the King Bomb looking aggressive. We'll find a stun. Oh, a nice double kill from frzgod. Bugzy will shut him down. 93% is where it's stalled at for Fnatic.
It is so close for Fnatic right now, but they have been locked out. At this point, SpaceStation are starting to stack up capture, and they're locking off angles. There's the fireball, the big swinging axes from Grover. Nice dismount comes through, 78% and rising. This will be in contest very soon, but it's solo frontline for Fnatic.
Yeah, he's got himself, RECHAO, there's a nice little moonwalk there behind the shield to get back the point. Very well played. 96% now for the team in red. Beautiful. It's a trade up front. It will be the assert dominance at clutch time. Now the Tempest also coming up with the whirlwind to counter. Bugsy's found two. The Immortal to try to save the space station could pull this one.
Healing to healing, but the bodies are bigger on the objective. There's a Hexafire double kill for Mittow. Bugzy tries to transport it in, but can't get there in time. Wait, yes they can. There's the Headhunter. Can they find the execution? No! Bugzy gets shut down. SpaceStation retain control. Overtime is ticking, and the Brazilian juggernauts get the first cap of this frzgod game.
What a good look for SpaceStation. You know, they were talking in the desk how the draft just really seemed to favor them, and I have to agree, the solo Ashe is so hard to pull off, especially on a map where so much damage funnels onto that point. frzgod's been doing a really good job of keeping himself at distance, knowing when he can jump in after the poke has been dealt, and that's what he's looking for here. Two big sticks onto, again, Buck, who has to back out.
And you know, that's been a really important point of contention position as well, I think. We've seen Buck absolutely dominate the backline of certain compositions because they can just absorb more poke. But when you're trying to fight a Buck into a Grover who's able to spot heal some of your backline, as well as when you got a Bomb King who's paying so much attention, it's really difficult. Great coordination from SSG so far.
And they're pushing this one on through. They have themselves a 5-on-3 situation. There's still another 3 seconds till Ash gets back. So everyone you can see in blue is moving back towards that back corner.
The long-range direct sticks as well. frzgod is performing excellently as Bomb King, making really good use of chain reaction as their legendary so far. 1 minute 30, as you said, on the clock. Payload getting further and further forwards. Nobody's moving into contest at the moment, but how do you as a solo Ash here?
It's going to be tough. You're going to take so much damage on the way there. King Bomb could be ready. Whirlwind's close around the corner. Those two combined could make for a lot of damage very quick with the sustain behind for the push. It's going to come down to, will the trigger be pulled? Here's the King Bomb ultimate. Will we see the Whirlwind as well? There it is.
And that'll kick things off. 2 ults in 1. frzgod does retreat as they do get burst down low. Headhunter from Knessa. bugzy finds one. Transported to safety. Getting out of the angle again as the convergence does come through towards the payload, but nobody is there to pick up on it. And Fnatic do manage to hold on. Good first kill. Can they find? There we go. RECHAO falls. And Fnatic have started to establish a foothold here.
If Fernando would have lived there, it would have been a totally different story for the end of that potential push. Fnatic needed that kill. They knew it. They found it. A really good void grip to make sure that that isolation was found and capitalized on. Now it's just 30 seconds to move across that entire open area of the map where you're going to take damage from bugzy, who's been doing such a good job of staying alive while also funneling out damage, repositioning now. Dread Serpent to start things off, and now the Hexafire.
SpaceStation Gaming are throwing everything to the wall right now. They're trying to move in. Fnatic still have 4 ultimates left in tank if they need to defend. 15 seconds left. And look at the damage coming through from Fnatic. Beautiful through. No, misses through time and space. But bugzy cleans up RECHAO on the Fernando there. Gets taken down. bugzy with the double kill. Fisheko cleaning up. Dhiren at the end there as well. And as Ares falls, that is SpaceStation's last hope going through it. A Bomb King versus the world? I don't think so. Overtime is ticking. And that's all she wrote for SpaceStation's push.
That's a really good look for SpaceStation early on. My goodness. Talk about the patience. Early on, we see all these veteran teams that come together on frzgod. It's a lot, again, that little poke and prod, a little bit of a tug of war initially until that first kill or a low health pool starts to surface itself. SpaceStation is right here competing with Fnatic. Again, they mentioned it, the #1 seed coming out of the EU side of the PPL. And Mittow with this play, again, Ruckus using that generator to keep himself alive, and then the big Hexafire right in the face of that barricade, not going to make much of a difference. Big double kill to get that point.
And really set up as well by the combination of ults that came out of SpaceStation at that point. It was in response, we had the Whirlwind, and then as soon as that elapsed, we have the Immortal just to prolong the life of everybody, following off of the Dread Serpent Hexafire to complete. It's just chain, extend the team fight for as long as possible in a situation where you just can't die. Itemization, though, SpaceStation have got a little bit of an advantage here. We'll see how they put that to good use. I did see a big resilience come out, I think, of Fernando.
That early resilience is actually going to be paying off dividends as you get later and later into the game, especially here on this first point. It's going to be Mittow actually getting charged onto. It will be a trade, though, so not a bad engagement there. 1 for 1, and it will be another headhunter, and it sounds like coming out. bugzy will find that one to RECHAO. It's a big loss to have the Fernando drop that early.
And now Thiel's moving into it. Oh, actually poked out very low. Was in prime position there for a lot of dismount play. Nice use of Tempest there, actually, just to make sure that Thiel does stay alive, and a pocket totem as well will get the solo frontline back to full health quickly. Fnatic are taking advantage of the team fight confusion. 60% and rising. Fisheko dies in, and this could be a complete wipe if they can't combo again.
And the Whirlwind comes out just a bit too late, so now Fisheko's in the back line, sees 2 juicy targets. He does have a Buck Wild available. Will he take the train out of the yard? It seems like not yet. He says 90% not needed. Fnatic looking to push this one all the way through. No one's going to contest from SSG, so Fnatic now getting their first payload of the set.
And that capture really just was a snowball for Fnatic, it felt like. You get that first kill with Buck, and then they just kept on pushing. There was the same incremental use of ultimates that we saw from the SpaceStation previously for survivability were used by Fnatic aggressively beforehand. Their Headhunter especially, which was just used again there by bugzy, keeps on coming out at clutch moments to secure a lot of damage, secure a couple of kills, or just force people and displace them away from the objective.
It's, again, funny just to see. bugzy hits a couple of shots, and all of a sudden, the door's open for Fnatic to get aggressive, and Fisheko's been doing a good job of capitalizing. On the flip side, if you hit a big axe, you get a couple of big stickies. Then you're seeing SpaceStation get aggressive. It really comes down to these little moments that you don't normally see that these teams are really capitalizing on at the highest level.
So far, then, Fnatic are barreling down towards conversion about as fast as SpaceStation were previously. A bit of a stall coming through so far from SSG. Fnatic are disengaging here, and I like the decision to back off. They're not overextending. What do you think they're waiting for in order to maybe try and secure a push?
Well, first of all, you need the Ashe. And, and the Ashe falls away. If you don't have your frontliner, there's really nothing you can do.
I can't argue that.
Yeah, Fortress Breaker, again, being very good early game with that extra HP and the slower moving shield is really huge to block damage. But again, as those Wreckers come online, you're going to see those shields fall incrementally faster. And that's exactly what's happening here. You can see, again, they're fine putting a lot of ammo into that big red plasma shield just to make sure Ashe is not safe at any point in time.
That's a really good point, and especially becomes more easy as maybe you got a Bomb King against a Wrecker online. You really start to shred through with the burst damage. 53 seconds on the clock. Full ultimates across the board with bugzy's Headhunter and Knessa about to come up. Bugzy actually on a 12 streak right now, has been playing very safely. Won't have as advanced items online right now because they haven't had a mid-round buy, but here we go through time and space to start things off. There's the assert dominance from Ashe in the backline of the enemy team. Whirlwind comes through from Grover. Beautiful Poppy Bomb, but doesn't throw Ashe away far enough. With that one versus the world here, Ashe surely to fall in just a second. Buck in the backline gets taken down by frzgod. Double kill to frzgod as they pick up a second one as well, but bugzy answers back with a double of their own.
Wow, frzgod just having so much patience and control, knowing exactly when to throw that Grumpy Bomb out, putting Ashe into a bad spot. Genos running with his tail between his legs. Will get around the big statue that is the theme set of the map. And again, you're going to see that countdown just tick away. And Fnatic, they're going to have to dive if they want to have a choice there, but I don't see them going in at this point.
I think the only champion that can close the gap is Buck, and just using Heroic Leap there. Actually, no. Overtime was met by Ashe with a shoulder bash to close the gap there. And this could actually be capitalized on right now. Ashe did fall, but Bugzy found the shots. The damage comes through, but Gerrah goes down. Fisheko answers back as well. Forces the Hexafire. SpaceStation are using ults on defense now. They're losing points in the tank. Fnatic are gaining an advantage from this, and they're still in overtime.
How was Fisheko still alive throughout that? He was able to jump just out of that Hexafire and then jump right back in as it expired. I thought for sure he was gone. Now they have to use everything to SpaceStation, trying to keep in this one here. Oh, and just... Whoa, by the nice little thin little layer on their teeth, they're able to hold just barely onto that. But again, you look at Fnatic, all it took was Thiel to touch, and all of a sudden, there's 3 ultimates out. Absolutely worth it for Fnatic.
Fnatic knew exactly what they were going for. They say, let's just try something. Let's see if we can get something out. But as you can see in this replay, Bugzy was landing the shots, and that's what allowed this push to keep on going, because those shots predicting enemies around corners, maybe as well if they can reveal them with a single shot as well from a Knessa, allows them just to make sure the shutdown comes through the nails in the coffin. And Bugzy is 17-3-11 on a Knessa right now. This is not okay.
It's a small map, Fox. He's not supposed to have that much room to stay alive. It's a small map. Bugzy's just so good when it comes down to it. One of the big storylines, you know, from the fall was, what is Bugzy going to play? Drogo's not all that much in favor. Of course, the Bomb King is there, but he's finding a lot of value on targets like this Knessa. Another Headhunter coming out, finding a lot of damage onto the right target. Oh, Maldamba able to slither at least a little bit away, but will be still taken down, staying in the fight a little bit too long, but SpaceStation's on the point. Fernando's in a bad spot, though.
And there's re-engage coming through with Tempest now as well, so the rest of Fnatic try to find some pressure onto the objective and should be able to get around the corner any moment now. And I'm really confused by that disengage from SpaceStation. They had Whirlwind, they had everybody back at least half health, and they stay in line of sight of Knessa. That is an oversight which you cannot afford versus a team with the caliber of Fnatic.
And now up to 36% is Fnatic, and they're still stacking up ultimates. Assert Dominance ready to go, as well as through space and time and Buck Wild. And again, the morale boost picked up by Bugzy is getting that ult charge. Fisheko gets 2 there, looking for a 3rd. Has the slow and will be a triple kill. Coming back towards the Immortal. This could possibly be the quad. They'll get stolen away, though.
Just that bad. He gets the last kill. 4 out of 5 ain't bad. I gotta say that shift. And Fisheko on this Buck has been a delight to see. You know, Fisheko is known for usually that Bomb King play, that projectile play. We've often seen Cyber 8 actually flex on the Buck during, I think, the wildcard qualifiers as well. But now, as the capture rolls through for Fnatic and they lead 3-2, Fisheko looks perfectly at home on bulk up Buck and ready to frag.
Oh, Fernando, be careful here. If you get pilled out, this is going to be a really bad start to this defense. Fortunately, the shield comes up, and they're actually able to find Fisheko and Bugzy. So now, again, here come the Flood, just running right on through. This is the teeter-totter of Frog Isle. You get one big kill, and all of a sudden, what was blue turns into red. It almost looks like a totally different game when just one character gets deleted, and that's exactly the case. Minute 56 until overtime. The payload has completely stalled right around the corner.
It's a good observation from SpaceStation, and with their first capture of the game as well, they've definitely proven that they are a high-caliber team, and when they see an advantage, they know how to push it. A little bit of respawn management as well, not killing Thiel's Ashe, making sure the respawns are staggered and far away from each other by buy some seconds on defense, which would otherwise be hotly contested and mid-team fights. So it's good observation so far. Fnatic are looking for a way in again. Thiel is always pressuring this edge side of the map alongside Fisheko. SpaceStation can never take their eyes off them for too long.
Yeah, and Fisheko over here breaking lines of sight when needed to get out of that cauterize, which is a very veteran play, but also the element of surprise. That heroic leap comes in and all of a sudden you got a buck in your face. You didn't even see where he was before. frzgod's up in front. This is incredible to see how aggressive frzgod is playing. He's got a poppy bomb to get himself away, so why not stand a little bit more aggressively, trying to get some damage through space and time. Will not actually find the ruckus, so Buck will chase him down and find the kill. Mittow drops.
frzgod wasn't able to find the double stick onto Buck there to be able to clean up. 55 seconds remaining. Buck goes straight to backline. There's a big immortal in combination with Drebson to try and hold on. Searching with power is Grog. Well, in a response, here comes King Bomb.
And needs to find an opening, though. He's got a long distance to travel, but he'll find one big stun, able to just jump and do a little peekaboo onto bugzy, who was stunned out by that ultimate crowd control. 35 seconds. That was a much more succinct defense for SpaceStation, responding to ults with ults. Really well played so far, but again, there's still a lot of time here.
There certainly is. But I think what's really important is we're not seeing all these ultimates burn in overtime. We're not seeing Fnatic hold a specific advantage in overtime that they did beforehand, as going into the next round potentially. If SpaceStation do defend here, it's 3-3, it's all neutral. Fnatic, though, they don't want to give them that chance. They're trying to engage here. Buckwild is ready. Assert dominance has been used by Ash.
In the backline of all things, too, at near full HP, but again, that damage reduction, not damage immunity really as well, but frzgod finds two, RECHAO a third, so this is looking good for SpaceStation. They still have to clean up the point. frzgod was low, has to get the out-of-combat healing. Will look for one more stick, not able to find it, though, on to Grok, who heals himself up thanks to that totem.
You can see just there, Ash does a last parrish. Ares able to pick up the kill. frzgod with one to side bait as well. Overtime is ticking, but well, I think at that point Fisheko is safe to disengage. That's not going anywhere. SpaceStation defends successfully. 15 minutes and 32 in. This is the closest game I think we've seen so far today. We're all tied up 3-3.
I think at just about everybody's surprise, we're seeing SpaceStation come out. You know, there were some questions. They weren't doing all that hot against their region in the most recent phase, but now looking good. frzgod again, able to find a lot of good plays, able to find the poppy bomb there and a couple of long distance sticks as well. Huge plays.
Overtime.
And as we see the damage charts as well, frzgod is going to be sitting on a little bit of the lower side there. Bugzy really leading the charts there, and Fisheko and side bait as well are very much up there. But SpaceStation with their coordination have been able to, again, chain their support ults together, chain their Fernando Immortal together to be able to survive a lot of that incoming damage. It does all come down to this, and now they're going aggressive. They don't want to give Bugzy the chance to get established and pick up more kills again. Out comes the push, and Fnatic are being forced back.
It was a really good adaptation from SpaceStation, knowing that it has been the Buck on this perspective left side almost the entire game. Well, let's just take it away. Just charge him with our frontliners, force him back. Now they have control of the point, and look at all this free damage that's coming out from frzgod. No kills yet, as ultimate starts to pop here. Immortal's being used, though, to counter a lot.
And Hexafire comes out as well. frzgod finds Fisheko. There's the Dread Summon to keep Thiel in place as well, and everybody collapses on the War Machine. Sent back to base. Gerrah picks up Mittow in response, but look at Sidebait fleeing for the life in Ghost Walk. frzgod is engaging. Grok is not surging with power. The crowd is electrified. SpaceStation, they're 60% and rising.
What? Sidebait, what was that Tempest? Where were you trying to go? He was stuck in a corner, 78%, and now there's no re-engage to get that Tempest and that bonus mobility back. Here comes the King Bomb. Could it be SSG? They find themselves a big stun there onto Fisheko, and bugzy drops away. A double kill for frzgod. Overtime in effect, though.
Looking for another one, and it just doesn't matter. The last few kills do come trickling through. SpaceStation Gaming take game number one, map number one, Fnatic's pick of Frog Isle away from the European juggernaut.
I am avoiding looking over at the desk because I can imagine their jaws are below their heels right now. This is absolutely incredible to see. SpaceStation again had the Brazil region pretty much in domination throughout the entire run through the qualifying phases since the PGS really started, to be honest. Coming up against a couple of obstacles, everyone thought Fnatic had this one set. But again, Fnatic continues to do these solo frontliners with, it's not an Inara solo frontline, it's an Ashe.
Yeah, and it was Mittow before that during the
Yes.
PPL full finals where we saw effectively Fnatic's fallacy at that point really come through because they're sticking with the strategy which was proven to be beaten by the same team 3 games in a row and another set. We need to see the adaptation come through. This didn't work. Fnatic can't afford to basically repeat at this point the same story that they did at the PPL full finals. Now we need to see adaptation, but SpaceStation went with a more reliable draft, I think, and they executed it brilliantly. Again,
Absolutely.
Coordination won this game.
I mean, without a doubt, there were so many different moments where you saw both frontliners sitting on maybe the left side of the map, and then frzgod was on the right side, also up front, not afraid to use that Poppy Bomb to get out of a sticky situation at the last second. He did it so often.
Well, let's talk a little bit about why as well, because you've got a couple of members that are really holding off, you know, the... what am I thinking of? The Buck here as well. You've got Grover, who's holding off Knessa, who's pressuring the Bomb King. And with that in mind, frzgod was able to meet threats head-on with little fear of being collapsed upon. And even if they were, the accuracy was wonderful.
With the first 2 sets, we're talking about who's going to show up, who's going to be the star. It's frzgod here, without a doubt. You cannot say anything else.
Player of the game.
Player of the game, without a doubt. I mean, he was able to do so much just so often. It's the thing, it wasn't just a couple of big plays here and there. It was constant. I mean, every King Bomb had high value to it, to the team fight. And you can see exactly why. This play against Ashe is just absolutely brilliant. Able to keep himself, knowing he's got the crowd control there. It's going to force Ashe into that shoulder bash while also turning focus to find Fisheko and landing a long-range stun there as well. It's just really good play, able to know what's in front of him. He's able to find so many different zones of control where he gets these big pickups.
And I think what was really important as well is that we were remarking that the accuracy and the long-range sticks coming through from frzgod were really on point as well. Look at the way he responds to threats. There's the Poppy Bomb that we talked about as well, with a long-range chunk coming through from the sticky bombs, which just end up directly connecting, is a very, very rare thing to see even at the high-level competitive play where air detonations are more common. This is what you need from Bomb King if you want chain reaction to be truly effective.
It's funny because as we're watching those replays and as he progressed throughout that whole set, you know, the conversation that's going on in my head is, you know, where does this stack up to our more world-famous Bomb? It's up there. With that type of gameplay, if he continues to play like that, he's easily top 5, if not a top 3 Bomb King player. And I mean, you have a lot of really good ones here that we're going to see later on, I'm sure. But frzgod really making a name for himself here.
Absolutely, and I expect more of that in the next map. Now, next map will, of course, be to the side of SpaceStation. They should get the choice, which makes you wonder if Fish Market will come up again. But I'm more interested in champion bans at this point. Bomb King is not exactly an unusual ban for Paladins. It's at a respect ban at this point. For Fnatic, do they just go, we just don't want to see that?
The thing with Fnatic was this. They were so focused on the frontline game at the Fall Finals. They banned Mittow 9 times. More than anybody else by far when it came to that LAN. On the same point, we saw them play Inara at a very high level. 5-0 was Thiel when he played Inara. Some of those were solo, some of those were with a double frontline. But again, they only played double frontline maybe 2 or 3 times. So as you look at it from Fnatic's perspective is, do they want to get rid of one of those big damage dealers? I mean, they might have the choice here of possibly being that first overall pick, second overall pick, whatever way it goes. At this point, you got to find a way to get Bomb King back on your side because you can't let frzgod do that again.
You really do, and I think also we talked a little bit about this behind the scenes with some of the commentators, is that with OB63 being played by a pros for so long at this point, really we started to transition away from more of the frontline game, more towards the, hey, this is more about damage, we want to strip some of that away again. But I hear that we are ready for our next map selection. Already seen Frog Isle as map number 1, Splitstone Quarry.
Interesting
Not the
choice.
Fish Market, which was mentioned. We have some bogus info going on there. Bees.
Bees, we'll yell at them later. But the thing about Splitstone is this. This gets brought up. Like Ice Mines, it has a very long payload pathway. But the thing that makes Splitstone different from an Ice Mines are the different routes that cut that pathway literally in half. The ability to go from one side very quickly. This is a very interesting map, though, because, again, it's kind of similar in Frog Isle to the point where if you're on that point, you have damage coming at you from so many sides.
And really, we saw like Grover and the Knessa picks. The snipers really picked up last time. I'm expecting more of those, but this time around, somebody needs to have maybe more of a flank-orientated answer to that. I feel would be the more suitable solution on this map.
The question, again, and this is one that I anticipate will get answered very soon in this tournament, is where else does bugzy go? That seemed to be the big trouble with Fnatic, besides the fact that they continue to run solo frontline into some really really devastatingly high damage compositions was the fact that bugzy did not really ever seem all that comfortable when he wasn't playing Grover or, you know, a big
Grover
long
or
range.
Drogos
Exactly.
or Knessa or something. But then again, bugzy has played before in previous tournaments a stellar frontline with either
Yeah.
Mittow or Torvald. We know it's a capability thing, but maybe there's just a comfort factor either in the current patch, or maybe it's a lack of practice or something going on there.
I think when you come down to it, you have someone who is as good as bugzy. I know we're talking a lot about him. This guy was the pinnacle of Drogo's gameplay for a long time in Paladins. Can you really justify putting him on your second front line? Like, it just seems like the pros and cons are just, is it really worth it to put one of your biggest damage dealers in all of Paladins onto a front line? That's the question. You know, you have Cybate, who, again, was a recent addition. You know, he really kind of upstarted his career early on, just before Valencia, and he's really shown up as a big damage dealer as well. So you have a lot of power into Fnatic's roster, and the question is there just too much to really wield into any particular comp, or do you just let it loose and hope that when you throw all caution to the wind, the sticks fall where they need to?
Well, we've seen the triple damage compositions from Fnatic work at times, and when they do work, they floor the opposition.
Yeah.
That's the thing. The problem with that is that the win threshold, the win condition is so much higher than it is for, say, a double frontline or a safer, quote-unquote, composition that it's just not a thing that you might want to actually go for initially in the first round on an international stage. Go with what's safer, go with what people might expect, but you're not giving away your strategies here.
It's just really tough. I mean, there's so much speculation when it comes to seeing SpaceStation for the first time up against a major international opponent, and now it's going to be up to SpaceStation first and foremost. Bomb King taken away, so they're not even prioritizing for themselves. It will be, again, another Mittow ban. So Fnatic seem to have some kind of favor towards making sure Mittow is not on the opposite side, as a lot of teams do, not just to single them all out, but again, that leads to the instant buck pick. We're going to see this time and time again.
And I wouldn't expect anything else. We saw last game how even though Fnatic ended up taking an L there, you know, we saw how strong Fisheko was on the buck.
Yeah.
Top 3 damage despite being bulk up as their legendary, able to constantly chip people down on a map as well, like Splitstone, where we've got that split verticality. Having extra heroic leap distance might be valuable to help you traverse to high ground.
You said it exactly right. Buck being in the top 3 as far as damage. All the top 3 were above 6-figure damages, and they were all on Fnatic. So the damage, again, is not the problem. It's the objective control. How well can you maintain the core gameplay of the game, which is take the point, push the payload.
And looking at this initially, actually, Fnatic respond with objective control, which helped SpaceStation really win that last game. Fernando was key to a lot of survivability moments. You got all this damage coming in from Fnatic, and Immortal blocks all of that. Fnatic stripped that away from SpaceStation. We know that Thiel has a good Fernando that's been in his pocket for a long time. SpaceStation, though, respond with a great deal of survivability in Maldamba and Inara.
The Inara, and again, you look at it, Buck Torvald is a big key to have. I mean, it's the dynamic doom, it's your peanut butter and jelly. But going for Inara first with their support really goes to show that, again, they want the objective control. Inara is so hard to displace from point, especially with Damba, who can throw not one, but 2 different sources of healing onto a single target. It can keep her alive for so long.
It's also a relatively neutral draft as well, considering that Fnatic had picked up the Genos. Drafting Maldamba this early allows SpaceStation, with their next 2 picks, the chance to maybe get a counter draft in here and not be forced to take a support. And now you can see with the Drogos picked up by Fnatic, SpaceStation do have the opportunity to get some anti-air online. But who's going to be good when there's a Shaolin to maybe protect the Drogos in the backline?
Well, here's the thing. Shaolin, again, is a very stationary champion. This would be, we talked about this a lot, how having double flanks is becoming a potential to steal this tournament away. This would be the time. I mean, if you're looking at it, you could do a lot with another flanker here if you're SSG. And if you want rather direct damage, again, Leon, again, a lot of long distance here to kind of duel around with that Shaolin.
Especially with Eminence as well.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah.
I would expect on a map like Splitstone Quarry, we're either going to see Alacrity Leon, where she's the only one buying Cauterize and applying it to everybody, or we're going to see the Eminence Leon and the precision really come through, and she's going to be counter-sniping Shaolin at 1200 damage a pop from sort of backline area to backline area. But hey, with Rockets locked in, Fnatic have the final pick. It is Maeve that comes out last.
Maeve is awesome to see come out because her ability to chase is almost unmatched compared to anybody else. I mean, she's got so much mobility built into her kit, and all of it can be used rather safely if you're positioning yourself correctly, which again, Splitstone has a lot of cover on all different parts of the map. So I actually really like this Maeve pick. It seems a little strange because there's no like no particular champion on SpaceStation says, oh, Maeve is the perfect counter here. But she can, if the damage is there, she can have a lot of space to maneuver here.
Well, I think if we look individually at the champions, we're looking at the wrong area here to what Maeve provides. And specifically, I'm interested in the ultimate Midnight, because what SpaceStation have drafted, with the fact that they've got a Buck on their team now, sure, they might not have the Tour Ball, they've got pretty much a quintessential Paladins dive comp element in there, and they can go in, they can go hard, and they can shut their opponents down. Midnight will allow Drogos to escape the skies, but can't follow them, and this allows a lot of safety to be brought to the team. So this is more of a defensive pickup than really a true offensive one in terms of ult utility, but with a lot of damage to boot.
And again, we're seeing, once again, solo frontline, and it's a Fernando. Let me just give you some numbers. 1 and 4 was Thiel on Fernando at the fall finals. Can he find a much-needed win here? Splitstone, Quarry is where we're going to head. Game 2, best of 3, SpaceStation looking for the Cinderella story.
And here we go, Legendaries being picked up at the start of the game. All relatively standard so far. Mother's Grace on the Lian. Ares actually not going for the Eminence. Precision there, as you mentioned. Combustible. Fire Spit, Drogos for Fisheko. Bugzy, I think, was running. Was that Cat Burglar?
Cat Burglar, yep. So looking for that bonus coming out of Prowl, looking for all that extra damage, and this is going to be a true test. Can Fnatic get the damage in early? If they start to fall behind, this could be a very tough game for Fnatic to turn around.
SpaceStation then, potentially. A little bit of flank pressure coming through as Buck is just waiting to try and chip down from mid-range. The problem is, Maeve, without full-off on her daggers, has the better end of the trade just there as long as she doesn't take too much focus fire from Buck. And you can see that overall, Fnatic have gained a bit of map control here, and now they're starting to collapse on a SpaceStation. In dives Maeve to the back line. Buck tries to survive. Stays there for a moment. The damage comes through. First blood goes to Mittow, though. The turnaround is real.
I'm not 100% sure how Mittow was able to turn that against Thiel. He was holding W literally in his face, but Mittow must have been able to get himself that sustainability he needed. Now it's SpaceStation, 42% and counting, and without, again, Fernando being here, this is tough. Fnatic is just literally running around trying to find staggered kills, and they're not really doing so all that successfully. Of course, as I say that, RECHAO able to find one kill, or getting killed rather, by Fisheko. A big pickup for Fnatic.
And now Fnatic have been able to equalize on the objective. 54% and climbing for them slowly. Again, Mittow takes to this sort of enclosed area, looks to really put the pressure on a Thiel. Deal with the solo frontliner. There's a big American flag shield in their face right now. That's going to be difficult to break through. Inara's back, though. She will provide some contest, but Dragon Punch, is that almost ready? Will that be the secret to dealing with it?
Big burst heal coming out. Again, you could see Maldamba able to keep Inara alive, and now it's going to be up to this Ruckus to try to deal some damage, but Fisheko's got a big line of sight, and it's going to be both frontliners falling, so Fnatic are running this one through 99%, and there's the capture. Fnatic, a much better start here.
Smooth as butter right there, cutting through the opposition, and again, it did come down to it. When it's available, Dragon Punch without hesitation. Couple of frontliners ahead of me. Let me just deal with them here and now, not giving SpaceStation the chance to recover. Ooh, tricky in-pass almost locks away Thiel. Not quite enough, though, and now Fnatic have pushed up very far, trying to buy space for themselves on this push.
Yeah, and as you look at SpaceStation, what went wrong for them in that point? So very often you saw Ruckus sitting over that lava waterfall, lava fall, I guess we'll call it, and it was not doing much damage on the point. As this payload starts to move forward, you'll see how narrow these corridors are, and it's essentially impossible for Ruckus to not deal a ton of damage into those long lines of sight. So we'll see how this one plays out. A minute 45 until overtime. Fisheko doing a lot of bursts so far with this Drogos.
And the problem is a lot of enemies are grouping up in tight spaces. Seismic Crash comes out in combination with Enlightenment. frzgod finds Bugzy, but that's it so far. Fnatic starting to disengage here. Could try and fight into this grouping, but double frontline is scary from SpaceStation with the support of Maldamba behind it. I would not want to take that fight right now. Fnatic should start to disengage, but here's Dragon Punch.
Oh, with the Midnight, you called this combination as he's going to be moving in for free. It will be RECHAO falling down once again. Bugzy on the chase against Leon. Missing a couple of knives there, but able to capitalize on Ares. So again, numbers moving forward for Fnatic. If they can push this 2-0, they're going to be sitting really pretty in the itemization charts, but they need to get this payload moving. It's still got quite a ways to go.
Beautiful relocation with Pounce there from Bugzy, allows him to pick up Maldamba. More damage comes through the bonus from Cat Burglar onto Inara as well, and nobody's here to defend. 50 seconds left, it's almost through. In dives Buck, in dives Ruckus. Can they hold on as Buck Wild comes out? Massive fire spit throws everybody away, but the damage, will it be there?
And it's still numbers though. SpaceStation is able to hold this one back. Good kill still for Fnatic. It's a lot of toggling back and forth. Oh, Ares going down is actually really big, though. So again, Fisheko, who's still here, those Spitfires doing so much damage. This might be enough.
Low. Oh, and Nara just gets back there in time, but the Fire Spit might throw her away. Dragon Punch to convert as well. Fisheko turns up the heat, goes in, finds the Ruckus. The low health Nara has already perished. It's just frzgod on the objective alongside the Lian now as well. The damage keeps on coming through, and will it be there? Cybate finds one, Cybate finds two, and Fnatic push successfully.
That's exactly what you need if you're Fnatic. Without a doubt, this is exactly how this draft was supposed to play out on paper and in their minds, and it's looking really solid. But again, if you're SpaceStation, they need to be able to adapt. So often we saw Ruckus and Buck sitting in that lava fall, and they need to adjust. bugzy, though, able to move on through. You can see, again, the killing potential that he brings with those knives. You mentioned the low fall off as far as how the projectile moves, and the damage is just so big when you hit 1 and 2 of those knives as they come out in a little bit of a staggered fashion. bugzy doing a very good job picking up the cat burglar herself.
And so far, again, the Maeve coordination that we talked about, it's like this ultimate, I thought Midnight is like, this is your defensive Thiel that we might end up seeing. Not the case. Offensive engagement, you can't track down the Drogo's ult in mid-air maybe with a Hexifier and kill them before they connect if you can't see where they're coming from.
Yeah, and Thiel is actually going to be playing very aggressively. He has himself a double master riding pickup, extra movement speed right at the start with that horse, and Gerrah is able to find one with the 3 space in time, and now it's going to be Mittow trying to counter things around. There's a big stun, but not able to focus fire enough. He finds himself 2 kills, fortunately, but if Thiel doesn't go down, again, he can stay alive for a long time, and the situation's not 100% clean right now for SpaceStation.
Certainly not with bugzy around, Enlightenment comes through as well. bugzy with the mid-air double jump, dodges the Enlightenment damage, stays alive, and is able to pick up a kill on Ares. That's huge.
Yeah, and again, the comeback mechanic that's in effect right now for SpaceStation, it ticks for 4% instead of 3. That's a big mechanic that you need to try to take advantage of, but Fnatic is denying all space to move in. 72% for them. bugzy on the left-hand side trying to find the high ground. Will get there. He's just trying to play a little bit more passively. Cybate's also in the back line. They're looking for the buck, but on the point, RECHAO finding one. They do trade out, so 87% of Fnatic is still cleaning up kills. Look how aggressive Cybate's playing on Shaolin.
And all through this point fight, Fnatic have had the ult economy on their side. We've just seen Midnight being used. We've just had a Heat Haze used by Cybate as well. SpaceStation have not had any tools in their kit to be able to respond effectively, and you can see what happens when they don't.
3-0, it's not looking so great so far for SpaceStation. They don't have a lot of ultimates to utilize here. If they can get an early defense, of course it bodes better for them as this payload continues to move, but it's very difficult, again, to find a favorable position early on in these pushes for SpaceStation. They're trying to. frzgod goes down, and Fisheko's going to try to make it hurt even harder, and that's a nice Void Grip just to make sure you take down the Inara. Fnatic still steamrolling through.
Reminds me of the esports handshake, you know, it's the Dragon Punch into the Void Grip there as well, but maybe more of a visual gag for those of you who are watching at home can't see that, but Fisheko has been just absolutely nailing these fire spits at the moment. Look again, thrown out, waits for the enemies to start pushing out of spawn, and they don't duck back in again, take some free poke, some free displacement, topping the damage charts right now. Fnatic are so close to conversion, this could be a 4-0 in a SpaceStation respond.
Heads and shoulders is both Fisheko and bugzy as far as damage goes. I mean, they're just so far, pardon me, Shaolin and Cybate looking really solid at the moment. And again, 1 minute, 20 seconds, and we're still seeing this payload is only a couple of mere meters away. Midnight coming out, bugzy trying to stay alive though as Buck got into his face, but all the ultimates are coming back through once again. No kills though as of yet.
Cat burglar damage comes through. Dread 7 as well to disengage from SpaceStation Gaming. Buck did use Buck Wild there, but no kills achieved so far. Fnatic all getting brought low right now, but Inara is the first one to fall. Mittow picks up a double kill, gets stunned into a wall by the Impaler arrow. Enlightenment from Ares finds nobody, but Mittow's found a triple kill on Ruckus, holding it down for SpaceStation so far. This is the key pick of this game.
Still has a Hexifier too, just in case he's got to go and do that again. I mean, that's exactly what you don't want to see. Leon's supposed to be able to deal a lot of consistent damage. Not up there. Buck is supposed to be able to penetrate. Not there. Middow's like, all right, guys, I'll just take care of it myself. Moving forward and trying to hold down a front line, literally drawing the line in the sand as far as where he wants his team to go. He's the flag bearer at the moment as far as where he wants SpaceStation to be.
So far, SpaceStation want to be holding strong on defense, but Dragon Punch comes in, and this time the prioritization is there. Fisheko takes out Mittow. No kill in response. Ares gets slain by bugzy, and this payload should be going through unless SpaceStation do the impossible. Immortal try to come through there. Thiel didn't get it off in time, but SciBait slays frzgod. Double kill for SciBait. Looks for a triple here on conversion, and that is Fnatic pulling out the 4-0 victory on Splitstone Quarry.
Again, damage is not the problem for Fnatic. They're so good at dealing damage. I mean, and the thing about it is when that damage gets realized into space on the map, that's when Thiel can feel a lot safer as a frontliner that's isolated by himself. That was not the story we saw on the first map. It was not at all the case where Ashe had any room to breathe. That time through, you saw Fernando so often holding W, moving in, sprinting into those occasions because he knew he had bugzy with him. He knew that he had Fisheko dealing damage. When you have that extra confidence, that's when the solo frontline really shows its power. But again, if you look on the other side, SpaceStation, not quite able to respond to all that pressure at once. It just didn't seem like the concentration and the focus target calling was quite where it needed to be for them to respond to all that flank.
A little bit of that, I think, and to a degree, a little bit of just the draft for Fnatic being executed very, very well. Now, the issue that I was seeing with SpaceStation is that draft works great when they're fighting a 5-on-5. If they lose a member, I mean, everybody's a keystone. They lose damage, they can't face off against Fnatic, who are running triple DPS. They lose a front line, they can't face off against, they can't soak all the damage they need to versus triple DPS. And with Dragon Punch on the table in combination with Midnight, you've got a reliable way to just eliminate somebody from the battlefield again and again and again, especially considering Combustible Drogoz charges that Dragon Punch so fast. I didn't look at the items, I think, on Fisheko towards the end there. Do you notice that they had a morale boost as well? I wouldn't be surprised.
Didn't get a chance to check it, but regardless, you put Masterful 4 in there, which again, more targets you hit with Spitfire, faster the recharge on it. And that's exactly what you're going to see. But again, this is another big storyline. We didn't get to see much of SciBait, but when we did, he was just as aggressive as bugzy was on Maeve. He found himself 81k damage, and again, 13, 3, and 14 just goes to show that, again, one of the bigger impact players on this team coming to life on the more hit scan friendly-ish. I mean, it's a lot easier when you're full charging to hit these shots, and he's doing better than just about anybody else at the moment.
And SciBait has been playing Shaolin for about as long as I can remember at this point. Known for the Shaolin, known for the Cassie, threading the needle where necessary, making good use of Impaler Arrow as well, not just for stuns, but to buy space, and fighting really reactive plays, as you saw in this instant replay where somebody just jumps across their screen and the trigger is loosed because of that reaction that's programmed into their brain at this point.
Yeah, I mean, he's so mechanical as a player. I mean, you saw that little flick shot he pulled just near the end of that replay. It just goes to show that he feels comfortable on just about anything that has to deal that impact damage. Impact damage is the big thing, and he's been better at just about anybody else that I can think of in recent history as far as his upsurge. I mean, he had a really strong Androxus gameplay that really started to get him more famous. But now, seeing the Shaolin, dealing that much damage, getting as aggressive as he is, it's just all falling the way of Fnatic in that last game. And that's the momentum they need. I mean, it's incredible to see Gerrah, again, has so much experience. That would have been really disheartening to even have a win, but have it close. A 4-0 is big.
Absolutely. And now that has been the first two games gone by us. 4-3 for SpaceStation or FrogIsle. Fnatic win 4-0 on Splitstone Quarry. Map number 3 is Serpent Beach. We are, once again, back to basics for the, well, third and final game of this set. The first time we've seen a game 3 all day so far. Can't wait to see how it goes down. What are we expecting here now? We've seen a bit of variety, to say the least.
There is a lot that can happen here. When you look at a character, again, the first person I turn to as far as what could potentially come out is, what is bugzy going to play? He can play a lot. Grover on this map, great. Pip on this map, potentially great. I mean, we haven't seen a lot of Pip, and actually, to be honest, as much as he was a talking point, his win-loss ratio at Fall Finals was not great. It's just the impact and his ability to completely change a game around with the instant click with that evil mojo, that big polymorph that comes out. And again, we talk about the vertical elements of Serpent Beach here. You want to get up high. You want to have damage that can fall down onto your enemies. That's why you see a lot of those fights happen near that waterfall side of the map just to try to control that space. The Fnatic, if they can get the damage out there, they're going to be looking really solid here. But it is up to SpaceStation first. It will be a Bomb King ban. This surprises me. They have the chance to first pick. They don't seem to want it, though.
If they do, but then to Fnatic leave something like Mittow open as well. You saw a Buck started to look like it was going to be locked in there, and is locked in for SpaceStation. So they want to keep on stripping this one away, but it didn't provide much of an impact on Splitstone last time.
As we're looking at this matchup, and you look at just the last two maps as recent history, SSG did better with the Bomb King versus the Buck than they did playing the Buck. So as I react initially, I say this is the wrong choice for SSG. But again, it could have just been a really bad game for frzgod on the Buck. It might start to live up. It is a Fernando Genos once again. Inara and now Drogoz coming out. Interesting for SSG.
I'm less looking and focusing on the Inara Drogoz here, more on Fnatic going with Fernando Genos again, specifically as niche counterplay to Buck, because if Buck dives in versus a Fernando, you've got a shield, you've got an Immortal, you've got a Fireball with Bran, which can potentially shut down all of their healing, and Genos who can lock Buck in place. It's one of the few things which can actually let you kill a bulk up Buck, which is nigh impossible right now.
So this is the interesting question, I think, as you look at SpaceStation. The Shaolin's back on the table. That was a 1v1 that Shaolin won against Buck recently. Leon also being taken for the extra damage against Drogoz. Do you feel like you have to take a Torvald here just to try to keep your Buck and your Drogoz more safe?
I don't think that your Buck is effective without a Torvald here, being completely candid with you, but that's a Grover being hovered right now, and it should be a Maldamba as a support for a solo frontline Inara if both of those are locked in, which means that the damage boost is not on the table. They're relying on just the base scaling of all of these abilities and weapons from these champions, which is a risky move.
It is a very risky move. You're throwing a lot of apples into the same basket, but at the same point, Drogoz can open with a salvo, Grover can hit an axe, and all of a sudden, the pastures start to seem a little bit more clear for Buck to move through. That was not the case in our last map of Splitstone. Now the question is, Fnatic, how do you respond to this? Do you decide to take something that could bring you some flank pressure, or do you possibly turtle up and try to give yourself the double front? I think both options are viable. We saw, again, Maeve had a really strong impact on the game last map. She's going to come out once again here, but you talk about possible counters. I mean, you have the potential, of course, maybe a really, really well-placed snake toss from the reload mechanic of Damba, but specifically, the Grover, able to throw a crippling toss, can really put Maeve into a bad spot.
But I think that this is actually why the Maeve is being picked up. Not because of the Grover's crippling throw, but specifically because there is a Grover on the field. Fnatic have drafted the damage around having two long-range carries. They've got Leon, they've got the Shaolin, who want to sit back on the archers around Serpent Beach and focus fire from a distance. If Maeve is able to flank and just pull Grover's attention away for a second, those two get to free fire. Now, if they don't, and Maeve isn't effective in that way or does get shut down, then you've got problems. You also have the defensive value of Midnight on disengage, this time confusing Dragon Punch, this time confusing the Buck as well. So there's a lot of potential for this pick to be big. I'm not sure if it might warrant a change in Legendary though, maybe, towards Artful Dodger for the CC clans.
Yeah, that's a really big point as you take a look at, again, the Legendaries, 3 different choices for every champion, a lot of different value when it comes to how you can change the entire gameplay of a champion just by taking one different selection. So that's a really big point. I think at the end of the day, we can take a look at this on paper. The fact of the matter is, who's going to come and take this one away and stay in the winner's bracket, and who will potentially face the knockout?
I never thought I would say this, but it all comes down to this one game. We are here on the wire for Fnatic versus SpaceStation Gaming. Standard legendaries so far from both teams. Alacrity picked up by Leon, and I love this on the map of Serpent Beach. Cybate loves to sit on those backline arches with Alacrity, and Cauterize will be applying anti-heal to everybody as they just slide to the left, slide to the right.
Yeah, a little bit of electric slide as bugzy provides the soundtrack with that dubstep skin. And moving on forward, looking for that opening value on the right, the left-hand side for Fnatic, able to find a couple of knives. And Fernando, again, you can see Thiel's moving on forward, able to push this one through, but bugzy does fall. Mittow able to chase down after, again, the axe hitting.
And now this is big as well. Mittow was able to put a lot of focus fire on a Fisheko, picked up one kill there as well, because the Shaolin just can't really deal with Buck healing up all of that poke whilst they're chipping damage away. And SpaceStation take early control as objective. 39%, but now they've got a zone, and Fnatic with the Maeve do have a lot of mobility to try and get themselves back in.
At least to try to flex and try to bend this defense a little bit. You might not break it with bugzy, but you will be able to at least poke at it until maybe a hole sprouts open. 84%, still counting up for SSG. Numbers for Fnatic, they need to get on the point though. Finally, Thiel's able to touch. Bugzy has this entire waterfall side of the map controlled for his team, which is huge.
But not for much long as the focus starts to come through. Looks to land one shot towards Drogoz here. Finds another bonus damage shot. Resets cooldown with 9 lives. Tries to find Buck in the air, but Fisheko on the Shaolin steals that one away. And now Fnatic are in full control. Bugzy 1v1ing Ares. Finds the 420 double daggers, connecting home for the slay. And that is Fnatic keeping themselves in the running as it's 99 for SpaceStation.
Fernando's very, very low. And if he falls, this might just be what it takes for SSG to pull this one through. Bugzy Bugzy's going to try to touch, but he's also low. That rocket not able to really connect those. So looked like he was about to get out. Mittow does chase him down. A nice impasse wall is actually going to force Fnatic back. They're going to have to give it away, and SpaceStation draw first blood on the scoreboard.
You know, I was really surprised that the bugzy stayed alive for as long as they did. But SpaceStation were able to find the kill in the end. They cut off the exit route. They put up the impasse wall. That's the value of RECHAO's Inara on this map specifically. And as the push starts to come through, SpaceStation takes the high ground, looking to blast their way inside.
Oops.
Little bit of a whiff there, but if they can find the kill on the bugzy as well, frzgod, will they do it? One more shot will connect.
Please? No, not the case. Really
Outrage.
good peel. That's really smart by Gerrah to come right back up and help out there. A really big missed opportunity of fading back maybe to a dude seriously there. On frzgod, not quite reloading in time to get that final kill. A big missed opportunity.
Over a year since I've heard that phrase, and I have missed it so much. But now again, Fnatic have got a lot of ultimates on the board at this point. SpaceStation as well, a 95% on Buckwild, 96 now, 93 for Thiel's Immortal. Dragon Punch will be used to open up this can. Here's the Midnight for the disengaged defensive peel though, and what does Drogoz do? You go up in the air and that's about it.
I think you scripted this entire match. You've been calling it solo again. The value of that Midnight Bugzy able to find a kill there on the Mittow, so it's going to open the door for the defense. 1 minute and 18 seconds until we get to overtime, and you can see Inara is trying to run away, but they're going to be able to continue to chase these kills down. A really good impasse wall might just be the separation. Nice little hop shot there from, again, the Shaolin connecting as Inara runs away. Door hits you on the way out, one of those type of things.
You see, what I'm noticing so far from SpaceStation and Fnatic's playstyles and their success in various points of the map, SpaceStation play well when they're in a box. When they're in a more confined area, they're playing better on the objective, better when there's environmental cover. Fnatic are playing much better in a wide open space where they've got the range to deal the damage that they need to chip everybody down, but hold that thought. RECHAO tries to land the seismic crash to shut people down. Won't find a big stun onto anybody so far, but Whirlwind comes through, and Mittow's already picked up Sybait. Not enough to save the buck, though. That is gutting.
Yeah, absolutely is. A trade at the end of the day, 1-for-1. Bugzy trying to chase down some kills, but again, frzgod's up top on this left-hand side for the team in blue, looking for extra damage. Doesn't need to reload here, but won't get the chance to 1v1. Ares will actually take him down instead. 14 seconds left. Numbers coming out for SpaceStation. Sybait finds himself 2. Needs to find more to stay this defense in effect, but it's not looking good right now.
And what can he do in the face of a bulk up? Buck with Buckwild available. Thiel getting brought low. Executed by Dhiren there as well. Maeve to contest. Overtime is ticking. Gerrah as well on the Genesis is waiting in the wings. And your sight fails you, says Charlene, as they try to engage from the low ground there. Mittow's looking for them. Hasn't found them just yet. In the backline, Fisheko has taken out Ares. Impale Arrow comes through, and there's the Planet as well. Double kill for Fisheko, and Fnatic hold on.
Really smart play again. You saw the Planet start to trigger. Void Grip immediately came out, making sure you start to hit every single shot onto the Inara. Really smart play from Fnatic, not having to use much as far as ultimates. You mentioned the Heat Haze came out, but it's already back to 23%. And again, those red items are starting to look very dangerous from even Fnatic, who didn't have that first point.
This is a really big hold point as well, actually. With Sybait able to find the double kill there specifically, able to ensure they took Drogoz out of the air. And that's really Sybait's responsibility this game, actually, is be the anti-air champion, be the anti-air carry, and to a degree, the buffer versus Buck. Because if Buck jumps in, you enlightenment them in the face, that's 1600 damage, and you can start to chunk them immediately.
And 94% on that enlightenment, which again, you mentioned it, even if it doesn't find a kill, it can be the burst that's needed to open up for an early takedown. Looking for this left-hand side again is Fnatic, moving towards the waterfall. Nara's already moved up, though, but here comes the Midnight once again to start things off for the team in red.
And all of a sudden, you can see the focus fire start to come through. Sybait finds one. Thiel pushes up the front line, making space and peeling away with the sheer presence of a front line. One player from the rest of the pack. SpaceStation have been dismantled so far, but we saw this once already. Fnatic gained some capture control, and then SpaceStation come back in. Can they do it again?
There's a lot of ultimates that can start things off. Seismic Crash, if you want to try to get some extra crowd control just to maybe allow Buck to move, or again, you do have a Dragon Punch with no Midnight to counter it away, so this is the time, and here it comes, looking for a chance to move right from that little garden area, but doesn't find anybody, so just go airborne and try to find something else. There it goes, nice pay on the Sybait.
Baits out Enlightenment, and that was huge. Allows the conversion on the Sybait as well. RECHAO finished off Fisheko as well. Thiel to find frzgod. There's the Immortal, forced out by the Buckwild, just solo. Not really good ultimate utilization there, and Mittow is back to full health. That looks to bulk up. Genos tries to escape. Can Gerrah find it? No, they will be tracked down. And SpaceStation Gaming are back in control with Whirlwind in the tank.
But they didn't take down Thiel. They need to get this pick off before he's able to
no.
get back to full. And the Whirlwind not enough to keep Mittow alive. How is Thiel still alive? 119 HP. Finally, he goes down. But all of that time lost is actually great for Fnatic to get their damage dealers back. They're all full HP. Looking for the mid-air shot as Fisheko will withdraw and change his focus again. The Void Grip making it an easy kill in RECHAO. Fnatic should hold on to this point.
And I'm not entirely sure how Fnatic and Fisheko did not pop the heat haze there. Just the trust in Gerrah to come on through, dump a heal onto them, ensure that they don't have to use that cooldown, and are able to keep that in the tank for the push. Great coordination and great trust from the Fnatic squad, understanding really the needs of every single individual and what the threshold and condition is for all of those to perform.
And at the same time, you look at SpaceStation, there are such just small, minuscule moments that could go their way and make that point find in their favor. It was just like earlier, missing the reload, maybe cost them that payload push. Now it's bugzy on Midnight with numbers, looking to get aggressive. He'll do so with the rest of his team. They know where everybody is on the high ground up here. Buck falling low, but it will be a nice thrust, actually, to get frzgod out of the way as the draw goes.
So far, as the payload does continue, 1 minute and 43 seconds left on the clock. Mittow has found Gerrah. That'll take a bit of wind out of Fnatic sails right now. You lose your support, especially on a payload push. You do end up having to, keep something back in the tank, but I'm surprised that the Dragon Punch there seemed unnecessary in a 5v4 situation.
It's a stagger at the end of the day. You have 1 minute and 30 to recharge it back up, and you're playing Drogo.
And it's a solo frontline as well.
Exactly, yeah. So it's tough. Those are moments that I think when you look at the high-level players, it really comes down to, can I get my ult back in time? Can I give my team a chance to have a safe defense? Sure, I'll hit the button. Let's make it happen. I'm okay with the call to do it. They still have 1 minute, 10 seconds. Fnatic is trying to poke away Fernando back in front of that payload, trying to move it. But again, you can see the spread from left to right. SpaceStation has all of the high ground, and there's nobody on Fnatic that can really get up there. Besides bugzy, he does find a kill in the back line.
And that's not what you want to see happening. The Grover is meant to be able to lock down Maeve, but it's just not going on. And now bugzy has been pressuring out everybody. Mid-air adaptation to find the shots onto Inara.
Nice,
Immortal in response to the seismic crash coming through there as well. Through time and space, doesn't find anybody, but the damage has been done, and payload is so close to conversion for a 3-1 lead.
Looking to jump in onto the Damba, who's trying to use the Dread Serpent to survive. bugzy finding more connections with a double kill, and Gerrah and Saibe cleaning up around him. That's going to be enough for a full team wipe. Fnatic will keep themselves up 2 points, 3-1 the scoreboard. One more will do it. They'll survive this round.
In the previous game on Splitstone Quarry, we talked about at points. It seemed like Mittow had gone and put the rest of SpaceStation Gaming in their backpack. This time around, it is all bugzy opening up the plays, as this maybe is getting into the backline where they are least expected and doing a great deal of work. And you can see in this lineup instant replay, goes into the backline, dodges the Dread Serpent, cleans up the support, cleans up the other support, and then just gets focused fire and damage onto the airborne champions at the end. Great target swapping, great adaptation, and really good playmaking decisions.
Pens and paper right now for all of you wannabe Maeve mains, using the pounce as a way to reposition, not just deal damage. That's what you see a lot of these top tier Maeve players doing, and it's really crucial when it comes to things like dodging a full Dread Serpent and still chasing down 2 big kills.
So bugzy's 13-4-9. 9 streak right now is only topped by Fisheko and Saibe, but here comes Midnight to kick things off. Straight to the back when they go in. Inara again has been peeled away from the rest of her team. Isolated. Can Drogo's come to the rescue? Buck dives in. Grover as well with the Whirlwind just to try and keep the dream alive as Buck is pressuring the backline here, drawing focus away from Fnatic, and this is really big for SpaceStation if they can find the kill.
But it's a tough battle there as, again, just toggling the corner is bugzy able to find the kills. Yeah, everyone low, but again, who's going to follow up? frzgod finds one. Thiel is actually going to be taken down as well. Inara able to survive just narrowly. bugzy hitting the F, thinking about jumping in, but we'll think better of that situation. They still are capturing the point, though, Fox. They don't have numbers, and no one's contesting. Fnatic found 63% before they were forced off.
The problem is SpaceStation were all very low. They can't afford to go near the objective until they're healed because of the threat of bugzy. But Mittow with a hit scan shot lands the damage before bugzy's knives get thrown out. Out goes the salvo, pushes pressure in as Dragon Punch is channeled, and this might be what's necessary. Thiel, do they have anything? frzgod, I think, just baited out Enlightenment and left it at that. Didn't connect as they didn't know if Thiel had Immortal maybe, but SpaceStation have picked up some control now, at least on the objective.
It would have been nice to see Thiel go down there. His ultimate not quite ready, but he does fall. frzgod still finding that kill, retaining the percentage as well from not connecting. frzgod with the second. You can see this high ground pressure is exactly what SpaceStation needs as he finds himself 3. Fisheko will withdraw away. looking to possibly still contest this. He'll heat haze in, but does fall. Big pickup by Mittow.
And that was a beautiful play right at the end there. Just in that split second, you have a reveal before Charlene enters a heat haze. Lock him down, shut him out. SpaceStation Gaming now 2-3 are fighting the uphill battle to equalize here, but they're still in the running.
Yeah, they don't really have much as far as opening things up. They do have a Dread Serpent, but Buck does fall, so no possibility of combining that with Buck's big ultimate to get him that extra damage per second into effect. 2 minutes or so still remaining. Payload has to be forced at least a little bit away from, as again we mentioned, Mittow did fall off. So Thiel's going to set the front line up for the defense, and that's on the actual backside of this payload. So getting aggressive is this D for the team in red.
And you know, I feel when we talk about a little bit about ultimate economy and availability here, as we see SpaceStation try and break Fnatic's defense, it's much less about that and the power moves to me right now. It's more about the positioning. If you can displace Fnatic and not get suckered by Maeve on the backline as well, then maybe you have a chance at just dealing them with an even footing.
This is a big damage battle that possibly could be coming up here on the left-hand side, particularly for SpaceStation, trying to take this high ground away. But it is, again, it's going to be the frzgod trying to open things up. We'll find Thiel, so now the front line can push for free. But bugzy, again, being a nuisance in the back line, finding one, Cybate a second. So numbers still favor the defense, but again, without a frontliner there, Anar is able to stay a little bit longer, though impaled against the wall might not be enough.
The body blocks, I think, that just came out of RECHAO, that was possibly save a teammate who did end up going down anyway, but just the reactive sort of like, let me put on my earthen guard, stand in front of this planted. Still, no real progress gained there by SpaceStation Gaming. The Whirlwind, the Dread Serpent have been used. Seismic Crash is nearly available, though Dragon Punch too, but Fnatic's ult economy is far exceeding their opponents right now.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you want to see in Fnatic, better than a lot of other teams that are here as far as knowing when they can or when they should hold on to their ultimates, and if they absolutely need to, maybe they will, but very rarely do you see them doing things like throwing a lot of ultimates up for a defense unless it is the last second hold. So that's what we're going to be looking for is, again, bugzy is just free floating over here on the right-hand side by this torch room, moving into the back line, trying to find a way, but getting shut down, he's getting pushed back is at least more than I think he wants.
Problem is, right now, the solo frontline for Fnatic, Thiel is very, very low here. Could even see an Immortal baited out. Wall goes up, and Nara throws the impasse out, and Fire Spit to the high ground won't find anybody. frzgod's chasing down the Charlene. That's a 1v1, which you might not want to take, but it's a 2v1 as Grover is here. Wow. Say hello and bless up to the Church of Grover. For your support coming through. SpaceStation have found one, but Cybate answers back.
Unfortunately, frzgod goes down. That's big. If bugzy lives here, that would be exactly what Fnatic needs to stay into it. But no, Ares will find him, so overtime continuing to dwindle away as we continue to see Anara trying to toggle this overtime as much as possible, not leaving that passenger seat of the payload for whatever reason. And still, you can see it's Ares in the back left, able to find one kill. And Mittow's right up front. They might be able to burst down Thiel. That's a nice Warner's field. Immortal's forced out.
Oh, and that is huge. Even if nothing comes from this right now, Immortal being forced is big there. Salvo and Fire Spit connect. Thiel goes down to frzgod. The Fire Spit damage rains on through. Gerrah falls as well. SpaceStation get the conversion, keeping all of their ultimates. We're all tied up 3-3.
That's the copy-paste when we were talking about Fnatic. They won't hit their ultimates unless they need to. SpaceStation looks so disciplined right now. You would think going in, they know that.
They're taking lessons from Virtus Pro right now.
have to be. Watching footage of the fall finals definitely helped when it came to how to deal with this frontliner. The single, again, frontliner, frzgod, again, is just playing so well. Really good traggle to get that salvo off into Thiel's face, taking him down. If they can continue to find that kill, Dragon Punch could start this entire point off right for SpaceStation.
You know, it's so impressive with frzgod as well. The fact that bugzy has been pressuring this Drogoz the entire game, and frzgod is still pulling out these kind of plays. This is a player, a champion, who is built for work under pressure right now. And you can see already Salvo primed. We've got the Nimble there to keep him a little bit more mobile. RECHAO online. Late game items are out on the field, players. This is no longer your early game, but Midnight used to engage. Out comes the Whirlwind response, and the full disengage comes through. Everybody stays alive. Fnatic are losing really ammo in their tank right now.
They're using everything as well. Here comes the Dragon Punch looking for a shot. It won't actually go. Ooh! He's able to do a little pirouette around Cybate, who again is damage immune during that Enlightenment. Finds a kill, but Fisheko still has found himself too. He's in a good spot to keep himself alive. No one's really touched point. We're still sub 10% for either team.
And then bugzy gets in there as well, finishing off frzgod. But as you said, it's back and forth, trade for trade. Fnatic at last gained some control, 24% are rising to the 12 of SpaceStation. That was a long fight though, with no control and a way back in, certainly for SpaceStation. But this time there are no ultimates on the board, and all comes down to positioning. It all comes comes down to the zone.
They need to find a way to open things up. This is sheer who can play better Paladins. There's no ultimates for either team. Nothing's really close besides Heat Haze, but Fisheko's very low and will drop away. There's the door open. Bugzy's trying to deal some damage for free.
99.
It's not going to get all the way into overtime as of yet, as Anara is able to touch and try to put some contest on the point and find a kill.
Bugzy goes down as well. Midnight not available. Everybody's low. Sybate gets shut down around the corner with a fire spin, and Thiel forced to run away. Gerrah is alive. The healing will come through. Re-engage is possible as it's only 57% for SpaceStation here. Your side fails, he says Fisheko, but look at the impasse positioning right now. Locking off that ultimate from Charlin. This is beautiful work by SpaceStation.
Fernando's able to touch, though, and it's going to be frzgod just free firing from the high ground. He's got Bugzy on his tail, though, quite literally. Oh, it's a big immortal out. 2 kills favoring Fnatic. A 4, pardon me, on 3 as we go. Overtime in effect, 93 to 99 for Fnatic. Anara's still here. Impasse wall coming out, Fox.
Oh, and no, Dread Serpent was just becoming available there. SpaceStation throw it out. They find 1 kill, but Thiel and Sybate find 2 more. And by tooth and nail by Maeve's claws, Fnatic claim victory in Game 3.
That was... I don't have words. I am sweating. I am lost. This is
Weak at the knees. SpaceStation have put on a stellar performance, and being able to cast that, I am over the moon right now. This performance was incredible. Fnatic take the win, but they have exceeded expectations and moving in to the lower side of the double elimination bracket.
That's
I have big hopes for them.
Absolutely, I do. It's almost like it's a huge too bad right there, because now they're going to have to go up against a loser from, again, that top-seeded game that's coming up tomorrow. So, but again, this is incredible to see. I mean, the early handshake still coming out, a lot of respect being shown to SpaceStation, who, again, we talked about this, near the end of the most recent phase, they're struggling a little bit in their own region, and now they're coming up against the Fnatic, who a lot of people said, oh, this should be easy for them. They contend, they contest everything, and they looked so comprised throughout a lot of these really hectic team fights. That's the one thing that, as I look at SpaceStation, I say they could potentially be a sleeping giant as they go to the losers bracket.
You know, it makes me wonder if maybe we should have some boot camping in Brazil at some point.
I'm down.
I think we could definitely learn a trick or two from SpaceStation. Excellent coordination, excellent use of ultimate management throughout the duration of all of those games. But Fnatic, they do take the win overall, and some really interesting compositions. I feel like Fnatic went into, especially this first day, these first rounds, going, we're going to draft weird, and we're going to make it work.
Well, the thing was, the Ashe going in on their map pick as a solo frontliner, I think that was a true, let's just go ahead and test this. But as that didn't work, I think the panic really set up. You got to look at Bugzy again. You know, I say it a lot when I look at him as far as what is he going to play. He's answered all my questions. I mean, he's looked really solid onto Maeve. He's looked really good on Knessa earlier as well. I mean, he's just a solid player. And this is exactly, if you're Fnatic, if you're a fan of Fnatic, you want to see Bugzy do well. I could not be happier to see the long-term veteran coming back, playing some new champions, and looking so good throughout it.
And it's really important, the fact that Bugzy's been able to find this niche right. You said there was a really big sort of threshold for Fnatic. It's like, does Bugzy work right now? Or is there just like, is it a situation where you've got too many cooks spoiling the damage broth? Something like that, I don't know. It's a little bit foggy here. It's a real piece super, but it fit in perfectly. The flank pressure which Maeve has been able to provide, especially considering the damage boost cat burglar playstyle that Bugzy has been running, has been very magnificent to see, and I'm certainly looking forward to, well, more of what Fnatic might be pulling out later on. And look at the KDA we have, the stat line right here from Bugzy's game.
That's a lot of damage. 131, and again, he played her last game and looked really solid.
A lot of eliminations.
It is a lot of eliminations.
Was everywhere.
And that's the key. That's what Maeve brings to the table, and that was one thing that I'm really looking forward to seeing more of, is the potential of having these kill chasers, and you know, someone who can open up with that midnight, as you mentioned so perfectly. Yeah, exactly. It's just, it's incredible to see Maeve come back, and as we talked about all the different champions that could possibly come into this tournament, there are so many viable options, and we're seeing exactly that coming out of Bugzy in particular.
Don't say meta is what we said coming into this. We don't know what it is, and I think that every region is going to be bringing their own specific flavor and opinion. Let's head back to our analyst desk to see exactly what they thought of that monster of a set.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. Like, I'm all tongue-tied because that series was so good. Seriously, man. I mean, SSG. I don't think anyone gave these guys the time of day, and you just got to give them all the credit in the world. Coming out strong on frzgod to open it up. I mean, Gore, your thoughts?
I remember we were sitting down, we were kind of looking through all the teams, and Evan was talking about SpaceStation. He's like, this Ares guy, the rest of the team, like, they're not something to sleep on. They're someone you need to look at. And I kind of thought, well, yeah, that's always something like keeping factored, but I was like, EU and A, they're usually just the stronger regions overall. This shows why you don't count anyone out. Like, this is just the reason. That first game was insane from them, and even being able to come in with a sub for one of their teams as well, like, that was insane for them.
Yeah, that is something that, you know, again, it's just like, that's a applauding performance here. You have to give them just so much credit. But meanwhile, though, for Fnatic, I mean, you know, you were pretty confident. You felt like Fnatic were going to be able to take this, and then game one happened.
Yeah, I mean, I called the 2-1, but I honestly thought it would go Fnatic, then SpaceStation, then Fnatic again. I did not expect or anticipate the first round win, and I also didn't think they'd be so close, even the entire whole bracket as well.
I do want to talk about Splitstone Quarry, though, because Fnatic clearly in control there. It felt as if SpaceStation were a little just uncomfortable, unfamiliar almost.
It's SpaceStation's probably I'd say one of the least played competitive maps, but Fnatic's definitely one of the teams that really tends to favor this map quite a lot in EU, more so than the remainder of the teams that come out of the region.
I had one note for the entire map, and that was just stop Shaolin. Like, there was a point where Shaolin was sitting in the backline. He gets 2 kills before anyone looked at him, and he was just free-firing most of that game, and it's not something you can allow on a map like Splitstone because it's just going to take you too much time to try and retaliate. And there was so much good from Fnatic, and that just comes out of the practice. They know the map really well. They know what they can pick there, and they played it perfectly.
Yeah, it felt like, it also felt like they were really worried about the Drogos a little too much. And then the Shaolin was just really having their way, you know, in the end there. But then we move on to Serpent Beach, and this one just was all the emotions in the world. You have Fnatic, they go up 3-1, and you think to yourself, okay, well, you have to have the push to end all pushes here. They make it happen right at the end. That was incredible play from SpaceStation. I could not believe it. But the man of the match, without a doubt, is bugzy. This guy is a savage. He really brought it home for Fnatic. I mean, touch base on bugzy a little bit for me here. What can't this guy do, man?
Behold the bugzy's fury. That's all I can say, dude. The guy is insane. I mean, he's typically known for his Drogos, but that was given to the other players in the team, and they put him on the Mave, and he just played phenomenal. The way that he dodged shots with the pounces, the way that he would actually engage in the 1v1s and continuously fight with people, even if he had less HP, it was just phenomenal. Fantastic play from the guy.
Yeah, bugzy was just on another level. But let's go ahead and take a look at the schedule for Group B and where we are. So, with that win, Fnatic will move on to face off against the North American team G2 Esports. Coming up next, so we'll have Na'Vi facing off against SEA's very own Entity Gaming. Who knows? Could be an entertaining matchup. I mean, I don't think a lot of people really thought this SpaceStation Gaming matchup with Fnatic was going to be much to write home about. We were all pleasantly surprised.
I'm excited to see what these teams can do. It's just showing again that the tightness across all regions is they are right next to each other. It comes down to a 3-3 at the very end, 99-99. You keep it that close, anyone can really win.
Excellent stuff. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. But I did get word that we have Gabby over at the floor with one of the players from Fnatic. Take it away, Tigris.
Thank you, GB. We are here with one of the players from Fnatic. We got Thiel, and that was a crazy set. So going into it, did you expect it to push that far?
I mean, going to the first game, we were like, we're picking our pocket strat and it's going to be okay. And then they kept the first point. We defended. We were like, it's going to be okay. And then we ended up losing. We did not expect that at all. And then going to the next game, we were like, yeah, just go back to ground zero, play our normal meta, and just go from there.
So are you kind of prepared for those shakeups where they're not going to affect the rest of your performance at HRX? Or does something like this kind of get you in a strange place before your next matches?
I mean, everything that happened is kind of what we expect in general. Like, the name of our game as Fnatic is kind of inconsistency. Like, we won the PPL LAN, then we lost in the tournament, and then now we're losing here, kinda, and then we're winning again. Like, we don't really expect anything for the next game. We just play game by game, and we try to be as stable as we can. But inconsistency is kind of the nature of our game plan, unfortunately, right now.
And it was still a great performance from all of you, just some standout moments that ended up resulting in a victory. So some of these strategies that you came out with, some interesting compositions, how much effort did you and your team go into in pre-planning some of these comps?
I mean, we didn't really sit down for like 8 hours before this tournament, but what we do is we have a data sheet where we have every scrim we ever played from like day one. And based on that, we can see trends, we can see some data analysis that's going to give us information. So it's kind of an ongoing thing that makes it easier, but all in all, I mean, we did put in a lot of effort to think about what we're doing and why we're doing these comps and stuff. It's not just random.
So as far as the rest of the event, we have 4 days of HRX, and you're going to be facing many teams. What are you looking forward to most with the bracket?
I want a rematch against NA, because obviously in Valencia we lost against NA, so that's something I'm looking forward for. I really want to see the China Dream team play, because we saw China Honor, but that's like the sub-team, right? China Dream is like the main team, so that's something I'm really excited about. And just playing as our own EU teams as well. We're just looking to win the whole thing. Even though we're inconsistent, we're going to make it through.
Is there a lot of camaraderie with the other EU teams then as well?
Yes and no. There's camaraderie because we're all here together for so many of time. But there's rivalry because since we're all play each other all the time, we all want to be the #1. We all want to be on top. So it's like it's a double-edged sword kind of thing.
Well, it was wonderful getting to watch you in this match, and we get to watch more of you throughout HRX. That's going to do it for this set. We do have another one coming up, but until then, we got a break for you. So see you then.
Do you miss me at all? Do you think about the things we used to do? No, you couldn't stand tall. So why didn't you call? So many years has gone by, but I think about you all the time. Looks like you're changing and all. But why didn't you call? Something in the air, always something in the air. Inexplicable, I can feel it in the air. Can you feel me? Can you feel me? Can you feel me? Do you miss me at all? Do you think about the things we used to do? No, you couldn't stand tall. So why didn't you call? So many years has gone by, but I think about you all the time. Looks like you're changing and all. But why didn't you call? Something in the air, always something in the air. Inexplicable, I can feel it in the air. Can you feel me? you.